Good evening, everyone. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting. We're having this meeting through Zoom, through the Fall of Government Television, FRG TV, Channel 18. You can view it live on Channel 18. In case the meeting conflicts, you can view on Channel 9. This Wednesday, December 9th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Could I get a roll call of the committee members? Victor Farias.
Victor Farias, Park Board.
Jim Souza, here, mayoral appointee. John Brandt.
John Brandt, Conservation Board.
John Ferrera.
John Ferrera, Planning Board.
Paul Machado.
Here, mayoral appointee.
Kristen Cantera Oliveira.
Here from the Historical Commission.
So we have everyone here who is on the board at the moment. We have 2 open seats, both city council appointees, and we have 1 open seat from the Housing Authority. Sandy, I'd like to introduce Sandy Dennis, our clerk.
Hi,
Hi, Sandy. Is there any citizen input?
I didn't receive any citizen input.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 5 is the acceptance of the 10/22/20 minutes. Would someone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second? So I have a motion by Victor and a second by John. Are there any discussion on the minutes? Any questions on the minutes?
That was a second by John Brandt, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I was absent the last meeting.
Okay, yes, John Brandt.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you. Yeah, my fault for not saying his last name. So I'll take a roll call vote on accepting these minutes. Victor Farias,
Yes,
Jim Souza, yes. John Brandt,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
I was absent, abstain.
Okay. Paul Machado,
Yes,
Kristen Cantera Oliveira.
Yes,
Motion passes. Next item up, item 6. I'd like to introduce Patrick Higgins. This is for a item 6 is an open meeting law violation that Patrick filed regarding how we conducted the last meeting. What I'm going to do, I'd like to introduce Patrick here. Thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Good evening.
So I'd like to read the violation first. It was written to the Community Preservation Committee for our meeting 10/22/20. And it says the agenda has an item listed as eligibility hearings, FY22 projects submitted, but the posted agenda does not provide any specifics on the projects submitted. A list of the projects submitted to be discussed should have been provided on the posted agenda so that members of the general public who are interested in the projects, either in favor of or opposed to, would know what the project was to be discussed by the Community Preservation Committee. And the next item after that on the violation, it says, what action do you want the public body to take in response to your complaint? And his response was to learn and comply with the open meeting law. So I appreciate you writing this. It is totally true that we did not list the project, so we were here to rectify that problem and, say what we're going to do now and in the future for that. I have a list of the projects. What I like to do first is go through the list of the projects that were for eligibility and just give a rundown for the public of what they are and their description and what category they were under. So the first project was the Massasoit Firehouse, number 5 on Freedom Street. The description of it was for masonry restoration and the category was historic preservation. The next one was the Forest Street tree planting program. Theirs was for remediation, soil compost area, burlap growing bags, fencing, underground irrigation systems, designated tree area for 2 diverse 1.5-inch caliber trees, 3 sided roofed educational platform area, and a small shed. That was under open space. Next one was submitted by the Fall River Historical Society for a master plan under historic preservation. The next one was submitted by the Fall River Historical Society for a roof replacement under historic preservation. The next was the Dr. Fisk House, submitted by the Fall River Preservation Society. It was for the second phase front windows, including 2 previously altered basement windows, installation of functional and historically accurate shutters, restoration, preservation of the portico surrounding the front door under historic preservation. The next was 56 Water Street for a roof repair under historic preservation. The next one was the Maritime Museum. They were looking for HVAC, phase 1 and phase 2 under historic preservation. The next project was submitted by Shane Landing. They were seeking funds to install an elevator and other repairs to the structures located at 104 Anna 1 Street under historic preservation. Next project was for Notre Dame. Their description was a creation of additional community housing that will accommodate individuals with varying income levels, submitted under historic preservation. The next one was submitted by the Fall River Historic Commission. The description is preparing Form Bs for historic resources in the eastern section of Fall River and in the Steep Brook National Register Historic District. The project would include over 100 properties in both areas. Funds would be used to retain a consultant to survey both areas, submitted under historic preservation. For the public projects, there was a Fall River Fire Museum. They're looking for a roof replacement under historic preservation. Next was the Fall River School Department. They're looking for the man mural cleaning, the murals to facilitate the photography process under historic preservation. Next was the Okra Cemetery / North Burial Ground. This was for historic markers in the cemeteries under historic preservation. Next was Maplewood Park. They're looking for field light replacement under recreation. The Kathia Sod Memorial Playground was next. They're looking for a new playground and basketball courts under recreation. Next was the Bank Street Armory. They're looking for a roof replacement on the high roof under historic preservation. Next was for the North Burial Ground. They're looking to have iron gates restored in front of the North Burial Ground under historic preservation. Next was the Quequechan Falls Walkway Design Study. They're looking for the design study under historic preservation. Next was the Bell Tower. They're looking to restore the City Hall Bell Tower under historic preservation. Next was for the library and the Armory Flex Space. It's to renovate the space, not just for parking and not just for outdoor activities, but to a fixed space to accommodate both without compromising or reducing existing parking during regular business hours. They had theirs under open space, recreation, and historic preservation. There's a project next for the Jerry Lawton Green. They're looking to renovate the Jerry Lawton Green under recreation. Next was for the Spindle City Park. They're looking for a feasibility study. They had theirs under open space and recreation. The next was the Interlochen Cultural Resource Stabilization Project and Interpretive Ranger. They were looking for the assessment and stabilization plan with ranger salary and overhead under open space and historic preservation. The next was the Barnabas Blossom Workshop Restoration. They are looking to complete restoration of the Barnabas Blossom Workshop at the Watuppa Reservation headquarters at 2929 Blossom Road. The work will follow recommendations identified in the conditions assessment and the preservation plan under the historic preservation category. Next was the North Watuppa Pond Seawalls Condition and Assessment and Restoration Plan. They're looking for the condition assessment and restoration plan simply under open space and historic preservation. Next up is the Article 97 protection for vulnerable open space parcels. The description was will pay for the title examination, document preparation, and recordation by an expert and land attorney expert under open space and recreation. And the last was Thomas Borden acquisition and protecting. This is to acquire the Thomas Borden Farm at 1046 Blossom Road, and they had this in the open space recreation and historic preservation. So those are all the projects submitted for eligibility. Again, the other thing we're also doing to rectify this problem is adding all of these projects onto the community preservation website and government center. And I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything else into this as far as the resolution goes. Would anybody else like to speak about it?
I think we should follow it up with a letter to Mr. Higgins, just to let him know exactly what steps we're going to be taking moving forward. I know we're saying it now, but I think it would be good to follow it up with a letter. So if you like, I can draft up a letter if you want.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, if I can give you some feedback.
Sure.
The list is admirable, but just like the finance and advisory boards in Westport and Somerset and Swansea, you're going to be talking about not that whole list. You're going to be talking about maybe 6 projects tonight. I don't know, at a meeting. I don't think you're going to, are you really going to stay there? I mean, if you were to go over that entire list you read, you'd probably be there for 9 hours. So let's say you're going to just be talking about the Fall River Historical Society, the Notre Dame, the Maplewood Park and the North Burial Ground. Then on the agenda, that's what it should say, instead of the discussion and vote on projects submitted. These are the projects we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, whether or not members of the general are going to tune into your meeting and watch or give you feedback on some projects, I don't know. But the general public should have the ability. The other thing on the list you read tonight, and I thank you for that, I have no idea where the Dr. Fisk House is. I have no idea where Shane Landings has an address, but some of these properties, for example, the bell tower. What's the address of the bell tower? What's the address of the Barnabas Blossom Workshop Oh, that does have an address, but you see what I'm saying? I mean, if the general public looks at this and they go, what's the Dr. Fisk House and what is it?
Yeah.
What is the Maritime Museum? I happen to know it be part of the old Fall River line and down by the waterfront, but does the general public know that? So I would also, in addition to put Maritime Museum, I'd put the address of the property. So if somebody wants to look at your agenda and go, okay, they're going to be talking about the Fall River Fire Museum. Okay, where is it? Okay, I drive by, I look at it, go, oh, that's nice, it needs a roof. Okay, I have no problem with that. That's my suggestion. Giving more information to the general public on an agenda is admirable, and it's also transparent.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. When you brought up the bell tower, though, it actually has no address. So, I mean, I wouldn't even know, we would need I don't know, north, south of City Hall. I'm not sure how we would address where the location.
Well, if it doesn't have an address, obviously you can't put an address.
Right.
But I mean, like the Library Armory Flex Space, and a couple of these I do have a question on. The Bank Street Armory and the Library Armory Flex Space, how is that affected now that the City Council has transferred the property to the zoning board, the redevelopment authority?
Right. I believe we denied that one.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the more transparency, the more that you can see on an agenda is a good thing. But when I saw that list that just said, we're going to be talking about a project submitted, discussion and vote on project submitted. Okay, I did not know that you were talking about the Gerald Lawton Park, which is very dear to me because I knew Jerry very well, until they went to the park board asking for them to endorse it. And I'm like, okay. So then I pulled up the agenda and I'm like, I don't see it anywhere. And then I just now looked at the city website under CPC and under projects. The only thing under there is the fiscal year 16 projects. There's nothing more recent than that on the Fall River Community Preservation Project's website at this point.
Sandy, do you have any better information on that? I know she's been actually sending stuff to MIS, and I don't know if there's a problem because of the amount of clerks there. I'll let Sandy, are you there?
Yes, I am. The projects for eligibility are on the city webpage under eligibility. Hang on.
The eligibility information?
If you bear with me for 1 minute.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
You see it?
And it-
Okay.
With
all right.
the, it comes up with a link to a Excel spreadsheet.
Right. And then basically what should be up there, Patrick, is the projects that were submitted for eligibility, and there should be one up there for what met eligibility, what didn't meet eligibility, and what's requiring further research. And then what will happen is, as soon as the deadline closes for funding, I will submit to IT all of the projects that people have submitted for funding. And then
Then I
just,
count two items.
yeah, 'cause some of them, obviously, some projects will probably fall off, so that list will be smaller. But just also to keep in mind that the eligibility process hearing is much quicker. It's the funding hearings that you'll get a lot more detail on, as far as when they present, where they're located, if they're, their street address, if they're in a particular district. You'll get a lot more of that information. And what I'll do is I'll be sure to add to my spreadsheet the address of all of these projects.
But I think when you go to phase 2 and you start talking about the funding, you're not going to talk about all 26 or 30 projects. You're going to talk probably about 3 or 4 or 5 one night. So I would suggest on the agenda that you put the names of the projects that you're going to be, that you reasonably anticipate discussing. Now, remember about the open meeting law. It's up to whatever Mr. James Souza reasonably anticipates will be discussed at the meeting 48 hours in advance. So if you guys say, for purposes of discussion, January 4th, you're going to talk about Massasoit Firehouse, the Fall River street planning, the 2 Fall River Historical, and Dr. Fisk. You get down early, you can bring up Maritime Museum. You can bring up anything up on the list because Jim didn't reasonably anticipate that you're going to get through those 5 hearings. And that's perfectly legal. As Christian Oliveira mentioned, the way to respond to this is just draft a letter basically admitting that the list wasn't attached to the agenda, that thank Ms. Higgins for bringing it to my attention, to our attention, and we will put more information on our agendas in the future. You send a copy of that to me and the Division of Open Government at state.ma.gov. And then once I get that, I'll send an email up to them saying, I'm satisfied with the remedial actions taken by the committee, and there's no further review needed, and the open meeting law complaint is satisfied and done.
Okay.
But I thank you for meeting tonight. I thank you for letting me talk tonight. And, you guys go through a lot of money, and there's a lot of work. That's why I haven't raised my hand and said, hey, can I be part of this committee? Because I know how much work it is. So I do commend you for that. I thank you for your service, and I thank you for your taking care of this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So Kristen will formulate a letter and we'll send it to you again. And then the public will have the knowledge of knowing that will be on the city website also.
Right.
Perfect.
But I would still make sure it's on the agenda, what items you
Right.
think you're discussing.
Moving forward.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to go back and redo everything. That's, that's Bill Mill's lawn been washed, and the floor's been mopped 6 times since then. So there's no sense in going backwards. Let's just go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Anybody else wants to discuss about it? Any questions? Kristen, you'll send that letter to Sandy to forward to Patrick and
Chairman, I would recommend that you entertain a motion to acknowledge the receipt and appoint Kristen as the agent of the board to respond to the open meeting law complaint.
someone like to make that motion?
Make the motion. that Chris will be liaison to the,
She'll respond to the,
yes,
I'll
Right.
second.
So I have a motion and a second to acknowledge that Kristen is the liaison for this open meeting law resolution, I'll say, as a letter. And we'll take a vote on that. Victor,
yes,
Jim, Susie, yes. Paul, John Brandt,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
Paul Machado,
yes,
Kristen Cantero Olivera.
yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
thank you, folks.
Next item on the agenda is the Academical Club.
Wait, actually, before you do that, at the bottom of the agenda, we had vote, so I was actually gonna make a motion that we just re-vote officially right here.
Do we need to revote?
I don't know,
Patrick, are you,
I don't think it's needed.
from
no?
what he said, it didn't sound like it. I mean, because,
Okay, good.
No, I don't think you have to revote what you did the other night. I think you're fine.
Can we do this, Jim, for the record? Can we just give anybody the opportunity, if they want to, make an argument that prior votes should be changed? So that the record is clear that we had the opportunity to,
so does anybody have any change? Would anybody like to see any change to the prior vote we had? Okay,
if that's
Mr.
the
Chair,
case.
the reason I
that's
say
the-
no vote take, because you've already accepted the minutes of the meeting, so the minutes of the official record of the meeting, you've already taken care of it, so I don't think a revote is necessary since you've already accepted the votes of the last meeting in your minutes.
okay. Any other discussion on this item?
Jim, what I would suggest is that I would make a motion that since no one had any recommendations of changes, I would make a motion to accept the findings from the last meeting, the votes on the individual projects from the last meeting.
Okay, so do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to vote on keeping, on the findings of the last meeting stay as the way they were. Victor Farias,
yes,
Jim Susie, yes. John Brandt,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
Paul Machado,
Yes,
Kristen Cantero Olivera.
Yes,
Motion carries. Next item up is the Academical Club. I'd like to introduce Junior Paquette, who is he's the nonprofit owner. Or he's in charge of the nonprofit, I should say. So we submitted this project and it's up for a extension. So Victor, would you like to speak about this project? And
yeah,
why you're asking for the extension?
I talked to Junior and he wanted to continue to on the elevator. And but he would like to, I think, open it up like the second floor. So I was just wondering if we can just give him the year extension for the, finish the elevator and
And it's strictly for the elevator, correct?
yes, yes.
How is the project progressing, Junior?
Yeah, we actually, we had some good results yesterday from the city inspector. He's approved for us to move forward with the architect and our code consultant that reviewed with him some issues that we had over the summer, and that's the reason why it was put on hold. One, because of COVID, and we were trying to look to see if we could do some outdoor dining there because we didn't have the Great Feast of New England due to COVID, and for some reason, when the inspector went in the building, he felt that it was unsafe at the time. So we've now corrected that as of yesterday, but about 30 days ago, we had the code consultant that we had attained in regards to the findings of the inspector, and they met yesterday, and we are moving forward with putting the kitchen, well, we're in the process of hiring and putting together a consultant for the sprinkler system, actually an engineer. And from that point on, we're looking to bring the kitchen back to life and utilize the upstairs hall, which holds 200 people, and make that our restaurant for now, which would pretty much give us a very large restaurant in the city of Fall River. That's going to be called phase 1. And with that, obviously, the elevator would continue the process of going in too. So that's what we're looking to do. And unfortunately, with COVID and some of the things that put us, a little delay on it, we were unfortunately not able to complete it under the 2-year allotment that you guys gave us.
So this would be a 1-year extension, correct?
That's correct.
Would anybody like to ask any questions? Anybody have any comments? No comments. So would someone like to make any sort of a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we grant them a 1-year extension
For
to finish
the elevator?
the elevator, yes.
Second that.
So I have a motion and a second to extend this project for 1 year for the elevator, no additional funds.
Yeah.
Victor Farias,
Yes.
Jim Susie, yes. John Brandt,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
Paul Machado,
Yes.
and Kristen Cantera Olivera.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank-
Thank you. I mean, and
Thank-
thank you, Junior.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. May I leave the meeting now, Jim? I can leave the meeting now?
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.
The last item up is the deed restrictions and the legal opinion, and I'll transfer it over to Paul Machado to take this because he's done such an awesome job taking charge of this.
Just a little update. We have a number of attorneys. I believe there's actually 9, but one doesn't want to take assignments yet. They have each been assigned at least one deed restriction. Some of them have been completed, and the others, we're still waiting for them. And there's a little bit of delay in getting all of the projects assigned because Sandy has to get access to the records in the city hall. So she,
The funding
I believe
application,
that's correct.
the funding, I mean,
What's that?
funding applications or the grant agreements.
Both. What we provide to the attorneys are the applications and the award agreement.
I have all that. I have it all.
You have it all.
I have
Okay.
everything. Yep.
Then I'm going to bug you to send me some because we have some assignments. But let
Okay,
me.
Yep, whatever you need, just tell me and I'll send them individually to you.
Okay, terrific. Yes, we have a process where Sandy sends one at a time. And then I can forward it to the attorneys on the rotating list. And I did have some questions from the attorneys who've completed these, Sandy, about when they can expect payment.
Okay, I've only received one invoice from one attorney and that bill's been submitted for him, so his invoice has already been submitted, so.
No, you received 2, Sandy.
Okay, I don't have the second one. I'm gonna need
Okay,
again.
we'll check it out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Paul.
So it's going,
That's good.
a little bit slow, but it's going.
Anybody have any questions for Paul?
No, I just want to thank them for taking the lead in this because it's so important that we have these done. So thank you, Paul, for all your work on this.
Have you had to work with Corporation Counsel with this at all, or is it kind of like strictly like on the attorneys?
What I did was I had sent Attorney Rumsey samples, and those were approved, generally approved. And then we provided samples to the attorneys, and they're working from the approved samples. And then I also had a discussion with Attorney Rumsey about the Article 97 protections.
Okay.
So the Corporation Council is involved, yes.
All right. Yeah, thank you for the update. And again, like I agree with Kristen, I mean, thank you for taking this project on, which is long overdue and much appreciated.
Oh, I have one question. So during the hearing on the Bank Street Armory, there was a reference to the fact that there is a permanent historic deed restriction on that property.
Yes.
I think I assigned the Bank Street Armory to one of the attorneys. So is there a way that going forward, we can get a list of permanent deed restrictions?
On properties in general.
Yeah.
You gave it to us.
I thought I had sent it.
Yes,
There were only a few. There's not a whole lot of properties. The only one I believe that we were doing, there were two. There's Kennedy Park and the Bank Street Armory. I'm not sure if any of the other ones were projects that we were doing. And I don't think we have Kennedy Park now, but at some point we did. Those were the only ones I could think of. But yeah, it was a really short list that I sent you.
Okay, we'll check up on that because
Okay.
it's my understanding, I would think that we don't need to do one of these short-term deed restrictions if there's a permanent deed restriction already.
No, you don't. You don't need to. I can resend you that list if you want. I'll look for it and
Okay.
resend it.
And one of the other things, there's a slight delay because the attorneys, I believe, can't access the Registry of Deeds live. So some deeds are on the website, but if they're older deeds, they have to schedule an appointment to go to the Registry of Deeds live. And that's caused some delay. So that's where we stand with the deed restriction.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Does anybody have, that's pretty much the end of the discussion. Would someone like to make a motion?
Can-
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, can we talk about the next meeting agenda?
Well, yeah, we'll request what you, like, if anybody has a question of what they might want on it, yes. Obviously, the deed restriction is gonna be a running agenda item. The funding applications will be getting submitted relatively soon. So was there something else specific you wanted on it?
I actually wanted to discuss the funding applications because if we're still doing Zoom, I think that's going to make them take longer.
I do too.
So we should probably have more meetings, but fewer applications on.
I agree.
meeting.
Yep, I agree.
so if everyone can just send me, obviously the funding applications are due January 15th. If everybody could send me their schedules from February 1st on, and we tend to have our meetings the end of the month because of Zoom. And there are a lot of the other committees are monthly. They already have their days and times. But if you send me your schedules, I can at least quickly book them with the city.
Sandy, are there specific days that there's like meetings that, you know what I mean? Are there days that are like kind of no meetings that are better to have, or is it?
Yeah, and Alex can answer this too. Like every other Tuesday, the city council meets. We'll never be able to have a meeting then because they have to be live Zoom.
And then one Tuesday is our meeting. We usually have the third Tuesday.
And the school committee meets on Mondays. So what I need to do is know what your schedules are, so I can coordinate with Fall River GTV and the city clerk's office so that we can make sure that it's a night that no one else has a meeting. So this will be live on channel 18. Okay, so just look at your, because if the applications are due the 15th, you're gonna need the rest of the month to look them over because you want to look at the details of the projects. So I'm figuring, start scheduling those funding hearings February. And if we're going to have more meetings with fewer projects like Paul suggests, then, we're going to need to schedule them quickly so no one else. And I'm figuring we'll be doing Zoom well into the first of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions, or so Sandy, like, get our schedule to her, and so we can come up with a date that works for everyone. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So I have a motion by John Brandt, second by John Ferrer to adjourn. Victor Farias,
Yes.
Jim Susie, yes. John Brandt,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
Paul Machado,
Yes.
Kristen Cantero Olivera.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Have a
Good
safe,
night.
happy holiday.
Thank you.
Everyone have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, bye-bye.